driving. That can mean only one thing. That's the MOT. So, what does that mean? Car's ready? No, not even close. I'm driving back and I can tell you right now that there are numerous issues. My steering wheel's sitting off. The car handles like a bag of balls and it looks worse than a bag of balls. So I think we've got a little to-do list tonight. Because who doesn't love me and my to-do lists? We've now got a freshly MOT'd Impreza. Yes! We're going to do what we always do when we've got a new car ready to go, make another list. But you know what I mean? But as I'm about to start this, the big man has turned over to show us this.
Oh, there she is.
This is the subject that we were talking about when the do we keep it or do we not chat was happening. And it's basically a Subaru, kind of. Well, it's the GT86, also platform shared with the Subaru BRZ. But this in particular one, I really like. So obviously this guy is going to be going soon, but we'll try and do a wee bit more on it before it does vanish. Yeah. But today, let's get back on this. Try to look a bit more enthusiastic.
I'm working, mate. I'm fucking working.
Sorry,
Caught me working.
Impreza, the next phase for this, now that it runs, is to make it run properly. So I took it a drive again on the way back from the MOT centre, and it handles like a bag of box. So one thing we will definitely need to do is suspension adjustments. Now normally I got to Neil at Strongbrew, but it's so far out that I think the journey between here and Neil's will completely wipe out a set of tyres. So in the interim, what I'm probably going to do is do it myself. We're going to try a little bit of a homebrew four-wheel alignment, but that's not going to be today because I'm going to have to order a couple of bits for it. So paint, that's another option. We actually do need to get the car resprayed, and I do have somebody lined up to do this. Unfortunately, it's also a good few months away, so we may do a wee bit of tartan up to turn it into a 10-footer, but the list that we're going to do at the moment is this. Make it nice. I've done a lot of work making the car handle, making it rust-free, getting it road legal, but it still isn't a nice place to be. There's no stereo in it, it's not particularly comfortable, we've not really driven it and enjoyed it. So today, we're going to do all the little things that I want to put in the car to make it mine. We can rebuild it, make it better, faster, stronger. First on the list, we're going to look at interior trim. Now the interior is the place where I spend all of the time in the car, more or less, so I want it to feel good, I want it to look good, I want it to give it that sense of occasion that you want from a special car. And this provides none of it. This robots condom, whatever it is, this is the gear gator, or the accordion gator, or whatever they call it. It's terrible, it's never going back in the car. I know we're meant to be keeping it original, but it's not a massive jump to just put a nicer gator on it. That has been why I have left off this, the original surround for the gear gator, and as you'll have noted, there are now new things poking out. An Alcantara gator. So I've put this on and just punched through the holes with a screwdriver and pressed these little bad boys back in. Now you'll see these are little compression washers, I think they call it. Is that a compression washer? I don't know. But I've also run out. There's many missing, they weren't there to begin with. So we went on eBay and hopefully I've bought the right thing. So we're going to fire the rest of these on and then sort out the last two bits of trim to make the car look a bit better. Right, that's the gear surround and centre console sorted. While we're here, I'm going to take this fascia panel off where the head unit goes for a number of reasons. First, yes, we're going to put a head unit in, but second of all, remember that temporary bodge we did to the horn? That needs a more permanent solution, I think. Along the top of our panel, we have the temporary horn that we wired in. We've also got a toggle switch to increase and decrease dash brightness, I think. Headlight dip adjuster, 4-way toggle switch, and this guy, the single momentary push switch for headlights. As luck would have it, we replaced this, remember? And I have kept the old one from the old unit. So I have a spare momentary push light. Now it's identical in the back to the other one. It's got in and an out and some form of multi-plug. What we have is a couple of blade connectors on the new wiring that I put in. So what I'm going to do is put male connectors on the end of this to match up to the females that are on the car. And then, well, we'll work out something to make this look like a horn. Well, that's a little annoying. I kind of assumed that would just be a cut out switch, but it's not. It's actually pressed into the plastic. Not to worry though, we've got the template for what we need to cut out, so hot knife. There we go. More or less precisely cut out. That was quite therapeutic actually, just noodling it out with a knife. I guess if all the tools and track stuff doesn't work out, I can maybe apply for a job down at Everard Junction. Right, let's get all this put back together and then see where we're at with a new horn push. Head unit, when you get the cage in first. Now these are usually head unit specific. This one has come with the head unit we've got. Word of advice, if anyone feels like being a minge bag, don't. I have put a head unit in before without a cage, and let me tell you, see if your car's got enough power, that will continually fall out. And see if you get rear-ended, it's going through whoever rear-ends your front windscreen, so they do fall out. You'll see there's little tabs in here. Just mould these around to the fascia and make sure the cage grips the fascia as tight as you possibly can get it. That's in. You'll see the messing around was to get this guy, which is hands-free for the Bluetooth, for the phone. All of that Bluetoothy loveliness comes with head units these days, and it's something I've been wanting for a while. So that takes us on to the next thing. You'll remember this. I've just disconnected, and it's left a lovely hole in my pillar. Well, that's not going back on because it looks horrendous, and I know the turbo boosts, so there's no need for it whatsoever. What I'm going to have to do is see if we can do something about this though. The first thing I need to do is delete this completely. Well, there's a sight you don't always see. Usually it's the other way around in an Impreza. Well, I know I said we weren't going to touch paint, but I have found a rattle can colour match, and it is a few months before we're going to see a respray on this thing. Plus the sills, if we're being honest, still need the side skirts put over them. So what I'm thinking is we're going to give it just a wee dusting of blue, just to make it a bit of a 10-footer. Just take the eye off the fact that so much is in primer, but we're definitely going to do the sills, because I think once they're done, and I know there's proper paint on it, we can put the skirts on and it'll look a bit better, it'll look a bit more complete. A sympathetic but not thorough touch-up of paint. subject of nicing things up, I have, granted the bonnet's obviously open here, a monstrous panel gap here and a much more respectable panel gap here. I am going to give a slight tweak and see if we can get this wing in a wee bit, if only just to kind of sharpen up that. I'm going to go ahead and assume that the bonnet's kind of sitting, well, I know the bonnet's sitting kind of level because the rest of the front of the car matches it. So we're going to slacken these off and dunt this wing in a bit. There we go. That's a bit more reasonable. I mean, it's not great. There's still an amount of a gap, but it's not horrendous. Well, it is horrendous, but you know, Chinesium wings, what can I tell you? Right, let's see what else. The front of the slam panel seems to be sitting a bit low, doesn't it? I wonder if I can bring that up a bit as well. You've probably noticed by now that most of my videos have raging continuity errors because I'm not doing all this in one day. Such an example as this. Yeah, I had to leave it parked outside for a wee bit. It is fucking wet out there. Further nice up today, what we're going to do is deal with this. Now, there's a number of things that I've basically omitted from doing because of time constraints and wanting the spoiler on for reasons. I could have actually left the boot lid on there to think about it. I wanted to make sure it all fits. However, I have kind of jumped the gun on a few things, namely getting it properly bonded on here. It's bolted, which means that now that it's in there, it's probably letting water in because there's no sealant. Secondly, I'm amazed that this never got flagged on the MOT, probably because it's the same colour as boot lid. This doesn't work, so I'm going to try and get that working as well. Also, while this is off, there's a bit of rust under the spoiler that's on the boot lid. I'm going to try and treat that, and I think we'll get this all in primer, maybe even blast a wee bit of the blue on it, just so that when it goes for paint, it can just get blasted all in the one colour without taking this off. I think we'll just take this entire boot lid off altogether, so it's going to be easier to work on off the car. It's just, I've got a Stanley blade, right? See? And I've put 2 bits of insulating tape around the edges, and this does 2 things. It makes it safer to grip, and it gives you a tiny little standoff so that you don't scratch paint. This will just peel away all the layers of this silicone that we need to get off. As you can see, there's a bloody good job of it as well. Now, you might be wondering why I'm not wanting to disrupt the paint when we're going to repaint it. Well, putting gouges and like big deep scratches all over this, it's another thing I'm going to have to remedy. Now, it's not that big a problem here because it's going to be hidden by the spoiler, but I don't want to add more work for myself unnecessarily. So we're just going to do the thing, get all this off, and then it's time to do some sanding. Yay! It's my favourite job. There we go. That is more or less most of the horrible black stuff off. You'll see here I've still got a few bits that I don't want to use the knife on because it's on a curve. I'm going to end up digging in too hard. So we've got a rag and some thinners, and that should hopefully dissolve it a bit. Also, interesting point, it's blue underneath. Raging. If only it was the same colour blue, I just took all the bloody red paint off, but no point. right, probably. Gents, thank you for joining me. So we've got one MOT'd Impreza that I've now been gradually starting to improve. However, as we are in the make it nice stage, tell me one thing about this car we should fix.
The absence of a 14-year-old schoolgirl on the passenger seat, the absence of a sub in the boot, the absence of a big key wing.
Sub in the boot. Sound system.
Wow, I was being obnoxious. I was actually thinking the black wing.
Ahmed,
but okay.
tell me one thing.
I'll be with you in a minute, boys.
One thing about this Impreza you would improve.
The driver. For a start, a paint job, obviously, would be nice.
Paint job. So I'm going to carry on and have a look at skirts. The big man's going to sort my stereo issues out, and Ahmed's just going to, I don't know, be Ahmed, seeing as how he can't come out with a sensible suggestion because he's Ahmed. Ah, yeah, in fact, do you know what? You were bumping your gums about the paint. You can deal with these. Get the sanding block out.
100 grit, that's a bit abrasive.
So what do you use 100 for? What?
100 would be if like you were wanting to like sand wood.
If you really don't like your car.
Tommy's now offered Ahmed to be able to play with toys. Let's see what he comes back with.
Something machiney?
You know that video, right? Where the guy's got the jackhammer for removing the plaster, and he's like, Ivan, show me how to use the jackhammer, and he just takes the jackhammer and starts stabbing.
Is this double-sided?
Haha, you're getting some power tools now, mate. You're not going to be doing this by hand.
So we'll just take a wee pause here before we complete the wing, just to show you what the difference between, you know, done and not done is. This is just brake cleaner, by the way. So it's handy for cleaning the dust off without putting any contaminants. Gotta be honest, the big man's got the easier of the jobs here, because whilst I've already fitted the head unit, I'm not going Tonto here. We're not going for Barry Boy sounds. All I'm wanting is a pair of 6-inch speakers in the front, and better than what's in there. What's in there at the moment is maybe half a speaker. The passenger side doesn't work, and whatever's in the driver's side is making strange farting noises and is basically useless. I'm going to suspect paper speakers a la whatever it came from the factory with. So the big man is going to rip the door card off, and we have got these fantastic budget decencies, which, whilst will not set the world on fire, are a brand make and will work. I mean, working is really kind of the priority at the moment.
Right, one screw located at the door handle.
Oh.
One additional screw which looks like it needs to be removed in order to get this off.
I would concur. And one final screw in here.
We also have a wee rivety thing here.
That's this wee guy, I'm going to suspect, just pops out with a wee pry tool, which I will obtain for you now.
They seem to be shouting a lot, the socket enthusiasts.
I'm presuming that means that, you know, events are happening.
For the record, I hate looms, like Cedar's little loom clips.
Aye.
Every time we do anything on Tools and Track.
You want me to cheer you up infinitely?
Yeah.
We're going to be doing nothing but that in coming weeks when it's low cost first start time.
Excellent, I can't wait.
Cool.
I think I'll be washing my hair that day.
What's the bets there's not even a speaker here? Oh no, there is. But yes, as expected, it's the original Japanesium paper effort. So, out she comes.
The speaker is in. As you can see, one lovely looking Pioneer bad boy.
Nice.
Anyone who's taken the interior of a car apart will know the minute you put this on correctly and adjust it and foot away it for 10 minutes is the minute you realise you haven't reconnected the door handle or some other connector. So I think we're good.
There is nothing to this car.
Literally nothing.
I miss cars like this. This is one of the main reasons why I love this, because there's nothing to it. It's just 4 doors and a turbo.
This is the thing about taking cars apart. 90% of the job is figuring out how to take it apart, and then it's a doddle.
Can we check that speaker works before we put this back on?
That's a really good idea.
And that is Annie, let's not wait.
Nice.
Hi guys, so the speakers are in. We have audio, which is good because what use is a Subaru Impreza without banging tunes to annoy everybody, more than the exhaust.
So because of YouTube, we obviously can't show that, because whatever's on Radio 2 right now will get me pulled. There's no holes under here. Bagger. Well, I'm sorry to say that the nice up idea that I had for this entire episode is probably going to be a two-parter now, because clearly before I bought the car, some work has been done, and in amongst all that work is a set of sills, because they're solid, which is surprising considering the state the rest of the car was in when we started. They're also completely lacking the holes that these side skirts have. So, got one or two options here. I either jack it up, drill it, and make a complete and utter Pete Tong of it because I'm doing it on the deck, or we put a pin in this and wait, because soon a very, very good solution will present itself for this. But we've got it niced up. There'll be some continuity because I've also started doing this, but we're going to dial in the suspension as well. If you can spot the continuity error in the next episode, we'll be doing well. So for the moment, I think we're going to wrap up here. Look, it's more or less a 10-footer. We've done well. It's all kind of the one colour. And it's not going to get me a tug from the police, which is really the kind of whole reason I want to do this before the respray. Anyway, that's it. I'm done. Thanks for watching. Thanks for following this build all the way up until now, even though I'm really now dragging it out because there's so much still to do to this car. But we're getting there, and that's the main thing. If you just found this, like, subscribe, do the bell. If you feel like being a bit more than just a like and subscriber, patreon.com/toolsandtrack helps this channel do all the stuff that this channel does. And if that's not for you, well, no, cool, I understand. Thanks for watching anyway, I appreciate the support. We will be back next week with something, I don't know what, but something. And obviously this will be finished, eventually, so more to come, so stay tuned. Anyway, that's probably enough waffle for me. I'm going to bugger off, so drive safe guys. It's basically flat black paint from whatever factory's made it. So I just sat down because I set that shot up to film the two of us, but make sure you're out of it by all as the big man has correctly identified here. Mate, there's just everywhere. Car crash. I can't do with this car.